What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm sick.
Again, for the 1000th time. This should just be called The Sickly Show, starring Dave and his cold.
In my defense, I haven't been sick a lot. I was sick for a long time, and there was a reason for it.
I'm pretty sure we did an entire show last week about all you being sick and in the hospital for 2 days.
Right, and that's because I was sick for like that entire 4 months. It was all the same thing.
I haven't been sick in a long time. I was only sick for 4 months.
It was one ailment. It is kind of a slap in the face. Let's just say it is a slap in the face. As soon as I'm feeling better after getting out of the hospital, I get this awful cold. Mm-hmm. Stupid cold.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the weather's changing. You know,
the weather is changing. The weather outside is frightful. This is Brograph. This is a supplement to the site Brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site. We got tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and MoGraphy stuff. And on the podcast, we talk about all sorts of stuff from motion graphics to C4D, After Effects, Nuke, 3D things, motion tracking, 3D motion tracking, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, and working for the man.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're new, welcome to the show. If you've got questions, you can email us, brograph@brograph.com.
Yep.
We have got not too much to talk about this week.
But we say that every week. So this will end up being a 5-hour show.
Oh, I hope not. I can't do it.
When are we going to do our 8-hour show?
When there's time. You know what? After Christmas would be a good time to do it.
Yeah. We should do like
Hopefully
a live show. We should do a Christmas special live show.
On Twitch.
Yeah, on Twitch, where, everyone can send in their questions, all 16 people who listen to us.
Right. Actually, I think what we should do, 2017, we got to get our push on with Twitch.
Yeah.
That'll be our goal, to get some tutorials out. We do like 2 tutorials this year.
I don't know.
We got to do some tutorials.
I don't like
bulk
thinking
up on
about
those.
It makes me sad.
I know, me too. It's okay though. I mean, we're fitting in where we fit in.
Welcome to the Brograph podcast. This is a supplement to the podcast.
The podcast. I know. But here's the thing. We're gonna do like Mucinex and have a slow time release formula. So once we stock up on those tutorials, we're gonna time release them throughout the year.
That was
while we're doing
amazing analogy.
We're gonna be doing some Twitch stuff because we did have a talk with someone at Twitch, and I think once we kind of get things going and we establish ourselves on there, I think that we'll have a good end to kind of get promoted and whatnot, and that would be really cool. Verified, if you, I don't know what they call it on Twitch, but anyway,
I don't know.
We really want to go into that realm and maybe do the podcast live. I don't know about that though. I
don't know. You're always against the podcast live. I've been saying let's do it from the beginning. We did that one Brograph live, and I thought that was really fun. But yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
We had 2 people watching, and one of them was my wife. My wife.
Yeah, but that was before we had the podcast, so now I feel like we have an audience that might actually tune in.
That's true.
That was like the 2nd month of Brograph, so it wasn't really like that big yet.
That's true.
Not that it is that big now, but
we're huge. We're huge.
Huge. So this week, like I was saying, short show, so we say. We'll see how it goes. You have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a small gathering of people. We hung out with my wife's cousin. So most of the people were out of town. My parents don't live here. They live in Hawaii. Hard life. And then my in-laws were in New York City at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which I have some beef to talk about with the Macy's thing. Did you watch it this year?
I am sad to say this is the first year in my life that I did not even see a frame of it.
You didn't miss anything. It was actually one of the worst ones I've ever seen because CBS took it over. And so,
oh, really?
Yeah. And so they put it in front of the CBS building right in front of Macy's. So normally like bands would stop and they would like perform and stuff like that. Or like, you get some Broadway stuff and they'd perform. None of it.
On the Star.
None. Like, yeah, exactly, on the Star. But that didn't happen.
There's no performances?
No performances. It was all floats and all, people walking and balloons and stuff.
That's like half the fun.
I know. It was a terrible, awful Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Oh, that's sad.
And it's like, can you even call it Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? Because it's not even in front of Macy's. It's in front of the CBS 11 building or whatever. Like, that's so ridiculous.
CBS 11 in New York?
No, that's us. Sorry, I didn't.
Oh, I was going to say CBS 11 News. Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you didn't watch it. I know your love for holidays.
Yeah, the thing is, we had like a different holiday around here, and we were going to watch it in the morning, but I ended up sleeping in because my daughter was at my in-laws, and then we were going to watch it at my parents' house because they always tape it, and we forgot.
Yeah.
So
we taped it. We DVR'd it.
Yeah. Well, we did at my parents' house, though. We always take a family photo at Thanksgiving with both of our families each year. That's our time to take the family photo. And I wanted to take one photo of my family this year with the drone. So I just brought the drone and we brought it up like 20 feet and took the picture of us all looking up in the yard.
Looked pretty good. I thought so. Saw it on the Facebooks.
And so here's the thing, though. I decided to go up and fly the drone around. My grandma, she hurt her hip, so she was actually in a wheelchair. So she's sitting out front. She hadn't been outside in quite a while because of that. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll stay out here for a minute, and I'll fly it around and show you on the screen. So we're flying it around. I go through one battery, and I land it, and I'm like, I'm going to fly it again. And I land it, and Christy's like, how do I still hear it? I'm like, wait, I still hear the drone, but we landed it. And we look up, and there's another identical drone flying around.
That's cool.
We're like, that's weird. So I send it back up, and then we're trying to find out where the operator is. He's like on the exact opposite corner of us in this neighborhood, also flying a drone on Thanksgiving at the same time.
That's hilarious.
Which is really random. And so,
did you actually talk to the person?
No, I didn't talk to him, but then it turns out that my mom, I guess, knows them somehow.
Oh, really?
And then, so I fly the thing back up, and they're chasing each other around, just trying to make sure I stay at a different altitude so I don't run into them. But they were like looking at each other and like going up and down and back and forth and spinning around, like we were communicating through movement.
That's
through
funny.
Our cameras,
interpretive
which is
dance.
interesting. Yeah. So then I came back and watched the 4K video. I posted it on Facebook, and I realized it's my friend's house. Her parents own this huge estate that's across from the neighborhood where my parents live, and I realized that the whole encounter that I recorded was right in front of her house, and I tag her on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, look whose house this is. I just realized in the background." And then she writes back, she's like, "Oh, that's crazy. I was sitting on the front porch of the house on Thanksgiving watching these two drones play with each other in the sky in front of my house, and had no idea it was you." So really
that's
weird.
Funny.
But what are the odds of seeing another drone like that in the vicinity?
It's becoming much more common.
True.
True that.
True. And speaking of which, I have made up my mind. I am buying the DJI Mavic Pro.
Are you?
Oh my gosh. You got to see some of these videos about it. It is going to be an epic drone.
And how expensive is it?
It's $900 and something.
Oh gosh, that hurts. Is that the same one that the guy was using at Spirit Fest?
No. That's the Inspire 1.
Okay.
This one isn't out until January 15th. Is this
the one that follows you around?
Yeah, well, just like the 4, it will follow you around, but it also has a sports mode, and you can do POV goggles, and it has all the motion sensing technology and the obstruction technology where it won't run into things, and it also has stuff where you can, it'll follow you. You can give it gestures to follow you or take a picture or something like that. Also has an indoor mode, where all the controls are very slow, and this is a different kind of controller.
Ooh,
your
it looks
phone
super
fits in
compact.
It'll almost fit in your pocket, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's their answer to the GoPro, and everybody says it's way better than the GoPro one.
Neat.
Everything folds up. The controller is only as big as your iPhone. It slides in, and you could also do just the phone if you want. And then the controller for indoor, you turn it to indoor mode, and so all your gestures and movements with the controllers are like softened, so that like if you jam up on the stick, it barely moves.
Yeah,
so that you can fly it inside and not ram it into something.
that's cool.
So this isn't a replacement for the type of drone I have. This is a different type of thing, and
Sure.
I really want to play with. I was watching all sorts of videos on it this week, and the more I watch, like I can't remember the guy's name. There's this photographer dude in New York. He rides around on a skateboard all the time, and he has just a bajillion followers on YouTube, like millions and millions. I forget the guy's name, but he did a review of it, and he was just blown away.
That's cool.
So anyway, so today we released an update to our plugin.
Yeah.
It's an Octane lighting plugin. If you haven't heard of it before, if you want a spotlight for Octane in Cinema 4D and some other things, 1.2 update for R18.
You're making it sound like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but it is actually a really big deal. Like, the spotlight is huge. It's huge in Octane, but like there's also the quick sky and the whatchamacallit, what's the other one that I use all the time?
IES tester.
IES tester. What's the other one? The psych, like a little Octane psych wall and stuff like that. It's all really cool. Like,
and there's a soft
I use that quick sky all the time. Like, first thing I do when I open a project is throw in a quick sky because it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, that is funny because I built it for the spotlight, and I use the quick sky like it's literally the thing I use the most, and I use it every time I start a new project because that's what you need. That's the basics of what you need. And there were indoor and studio configurations. The location of the files had changed slightly, and so we had to basically update the plugin to be compatible with all versions of Cinema from like 14 forward, I think. So 1.2 was released. If you have it already, you should have gotten an update email with a link, and once you click on it, you've got 24 hours to download. So just be ready to download when you click that link in the email, and if you did not get it, just contact us.
Yeah, we got a couple of bounce backs or something, so if your email has changed or whatever, let us know.
Yeah, check that out. And so that's great. And
we also were able to play around with the standard version that we announced a long time ago that hasn't been released because we got busy. But it's got the same kind of functionality. It's a lighter version for the standard renderer, physical renderer for Cinema 4D, and it's got the elusive gobos that everyone has been asking for. So hopefully we're going to package that together in the next few weeks, and we got to work some stuff on the website and stuff, and that one should be out. So
yeah, and I have a new plugin in the works.
Ooh.
I was showing you some of the stuff. We won't talk too much about it yet, but I will say that it is a Cinema 4D Octane textures plugin, not a texture library, although we do want to do one of those eventually. But it's for working with textures and ease of use with textures. And I just started brainstorming and even talking to you right before the show, like, we're starting to get some ideas. This is starting to come together. And
it's basically just to get rid of all the same, steps you do every single time. So it'll save you a ton of time when creating textures.
So I'm putting a call out right now in order to make it better. If you have a wish list of what you wish that you could do with textures in Octane, in Cinema 4D, hit us up because we may be able to implement it, or we may be working on it already.
And if we really like your idea and we implement it, maybe we'll send you a free copy.
True.
I didn't run that by Dave.
Hence the maybe. No, we might do that if it's a really good one.
Yeah.
And so we want to know. We want to know what people are looking for. That really helped us in the last one. I think we got some really good ideas from some people. in the beta testing phase, and it was great. It really helped shape it. So let us know. It's preliminary right now, so you got some time. If you think of anything in the next 3 months or so, shoot us an email, brograph@brograph.com.
Yep. We're hoping to release it before NAB.
Before NAB is the plan, just like last year. This is about the time last year that I was starting on Luminous. So
I don't know. I think we could get it done faster.
Depends.
I think if you spent an entire 2 days, blocked yourself off 2 days.
You say that, but you don't know some of the plans that I've been coming up with. So I went off on some tangents on some of the things I was thinking of today. And I'm like, well, if I did that, then I'd have to do this. And then if I did that, then I'd have to do this. And all of a sudden, it's like a major project. So we'll see.
It's good to see your mind working like that now again. Because we've been so stuck in this project for a month. Oh, yeah. You know?
Totally.
And it feels so good to be... we finished the project literally last night at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah,
but we're not out of the woods. We have a lot of work to do between now and a week from next Friday.
Yeah, but it's totally different, when you're focusing on one project for, a month, and then you get to move over to the little logos and stuff like that again, you know?
Yeah. And we have some bigger ones too that are kind of in there in between. And we got a shoot and stuff. But after that, man, I'm hoping that we have a little breather here for the holidays. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Because
also,
Christmas is...
for all you listeners in Denver, if you're going to... I know last week we said EJ was going to be on, but we decided that we'd do a show tonight and that we'd record another one in a couple days with EJ. So that one will be next week. Now, if you guys hear this within the next couple days, and we'll throw a tweet out there, we are actually going to go and hang out with EJ on Tuesday at where is it, Dave?
It is at Finn's Manor in Denver.
Yeah,
downtown.
There's
Finn's Manor. It's the Sauce Society.
Yeah, Sauce Society, Denver designer meetup, and so we're gonna go and hang out with EJ and make a little appearance there. It starts at 6 p.m. and should be pretty fun. Yeah, and then we're gonna record a podcast.
So,
so if you got any questions for EJ, send them in. Because I know I've got lots.
I want to get I don't have the money for this, but I'm going to get I wish I had a big projector. I could project Christmas lights onto my house instead of put them up.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd probably actually be cheaper to buy the projector than to buy all these Christmas lights.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yes, it would have been cheaper to buy a projector.
Just for the red lights, LED lights that I bought, I could have bought a projector.
That is, yeah.
It is so sad.
Maybe we should do that next year. We should do that and then sell it as a package. We'll set it up.
$1,000, Matt.
I know. It's ridiculous.
I feel awful.
Yeah, you should.
I spent $1,000 on Christmas decorations.
You should feel awful. You're a bad person for doing it.
You know those projects that start out I'm just going to do this. It'll be a couple $100. And then it snowballs. And then you're at the point kind of where you're like, well, I've come this far. I might as well go all out. Yeah, that was this week.
Yep.
Home ownership. See, here's the thing.
I don't own a home anymore. It's nice.
I have there's a tradition in the HOA here where everybody has red lights around their property. And when everybody does it in unison, it looks really cool. And our neighborhood, here's the other thing about this. Our neighborhood is known for their Christmas lights. There's a couple neighborhoods in DFW known for their Christmas lights. The big one is Interlochen, and God, I'm glad that I don't live there because it's literally police directing traffic constantly all through Christmas. That would be awful to live there. This is pretty bad at times. It does get to the point we're at the center of the neighborhood, and there's a giant lit up gazebo at Christmas. Well, the gazebo is always there, but they really do it up. And so, there are people taking photos outside my window at all hours around Christmas because you see flashes coming in the window because everybody's out there taking photos, and there's just cars driving around looking at lights here. And so
man, that would be so annoying.
It's not as bad as Interlochen, but the thing is it's kind of expected that you're going to do something, at least put out those lights. And nowadays, like, I've had my bulbs for so long, and they're the old C9 bulbs, which are expensive as it is. But now, LED technology, these little diodes, you can't, like, if you buy a strip of LED lights, there's diodes for the whole strip. But when you're doing individual lights and screwing them in one at a time, like, I guess it doesn't work that way. So you have to have the diode inside of each individual light. So each light is $1.30.
Jeez.
And so I needed 300 and something lights.
That's ridiculous.
And then I needed, a 500-footer spool, which is actually cheaper than 300 feet. And so, like, that adds up. And then, well, we're going to buy a new tree. And, hell, I'm going to buy these blue LED lights. And I'm going to buy these little other things. And then Christy buys a bunch of stuff. And then before you know it, here we are. Now, the stuff's going to last us 50 years. But
yeah. See, we put up our Christmas stuff today. Like, we don't have a tree. When we moved out of our tornado house, we gave away just about everything. And we threw a whole bunch of stuff on the curb. And then the very next day, we stopped by the house, and, like, people had picked apart the curb and, like, taken everything.
Yeah.
And so, we put our Christmas tree out there, because we'll just buy a new one eventually. But, like,
yeah,
we just don't want to right now. And we've got a little 6-foot tree. It's just a little dinky tree. And then my folks, they had like 4 other like really tall, super skinny trees that we just kind of put around the house. It's just like, there's no point in spending a ton of money on this stuff when it's only up for a month,
Right. Yeah, and we've been like that too,
to get your money's worth, you should keep it up all year long.
Right. Well, I actually had this idea. It'd be great to have a party in June or July, and you take all this stuff out and you put it up just for a day and have a giant Christmas party in July, and then
that'd be funny.
Put it all back down. It's a lot of work, but
yeah, a lot of work for one day.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had plenty of times when I didn't have time to put stuff up. I didn't have much stuff.
Putting that stuff up in the middle of July. That would be so hot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But this is one of those years where it's like we scrapped all the old stuff because it was all busted, all the tangled messes of crappy lights and broken bulbs and frayed wires, and we kind of did this whole purge. So this was the year to kind of stock up, and I'm thinking we won't have to buy anything else for a really long time. So,
well, good luck.
That stuff's expensive, man.
Yeah, it is.
Listen,
we've been buying a lot of inflatables. They got them really cheap at Walmart. It's like $15 for an inflatable.
That's so cheeseball.
It is super cheeseball.
Oh, I don't like it.
My brother worked for the company that invented those.
Man, everybody looks the same.
I know.
I built my own. I did a tree out of blue LED lights and a giant star on top. And I sat there with my daughter, and we calculated how many sides in a star and how many feet this would be, and we bent wire in the shape of a star and strung lights around. I mean, that's how you do lights, man. You do it yourself,
I guess.
Instead of just plugging it in. It's fun.
Yeah, maybe.
It's memorable. But a projector would have been cheaper.
Your kid, because then you could also use the projector all year long. You just bring it inside.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Do it for different holidays.
You'd have to lock it up somehow.
Yeah, you'd have to build like a metal cage for it outside, like in the ground, and have it kind of project up. But man, imagine what you could do with graphics on your house like that. You get it set.
I'm gonna do
one
that
time.
next year. I'm gonna do that next year.
I almost did the Halloween stuff where you project in the window like people getting murdered.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
But if you could build the cage in and you could mount it in such a way to where it's got thick plexiglass and the projector's in there and it's like completely weatherproofed and everything's cool, then you could just you get a model of your house built in cinema and then just go to town. Just anything you can think of all year, you can build this stuff. You definitely would win a prize if there was a contest.
Yes, I am all about prizes.
Man, that would be so much fun. Someday. When we've got mansions, and then you put speakers out and everything's in sync. And it'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Listening to some pentatonics or something.
Oh gosh, some Glee.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying before the show. Like, I can't, like, I heard it from the other room, and I'm like, who's been listening to an episode of Glee for like 20 minutes? I'm like, oh, it's the Pentatonic.
Yeah. We heard we were listening to their new album today.
You went to their concert.
Yeah, I did. It was a good concert. It was really
Did it sound like
expensive.
Glee?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I never watched Glee. Well, I watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes. Like I was in choir in middle school, and like I played in a band. So like I love music, but man, I hated Glee. I hated Glee because like they cared less about the story and the development than they did about like redoing music and selling albums and, weekly charts. They're at the number 1 top of iTunes because people are buying those stupid songs on there. And all it is just covers,
Yeah, and one of my friends was one of the singers.
Oh, well then.
On those tracks. You know, the Mildfire video I talked about a while back with the rock band stuff? Mm-hmm. There's a link in the show notes somewhere for that.
Show notes.
My love interest in the movie, in the short film, she was actually one of the people. And it was funny because you would watch Glee, and the person singing obviously is not them. It's a track. And so you would see this person singing, and it was her voice. It was really weird.
That's funny
to see.
What are we going to do for our Christmas episode?
Christmas episode. Maybe not have one. Take a week off.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it is on Christmas. I don't know.
It's
I think
on
we should
Christmas?
Christmas Day broadcast Brograph podcast. We might be a day late on that one.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know. What would be fun for a Christmas episode?
I don't know. We'll have to think about it.
Yeah, we should do the Brograph Family Special. Or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll get back to you on that.
Definitely not taking another look into the future. No, that's only for the annual ones.
Only the annual. You saw the
Moana. Moana.
Hey, I Want to Lay You?
Oh gosh. Moana.
How's the animation in that?
Awesome. It's okay. So, and I mentioned this to you. So back in the day when I played music, when I played in a band, I'd go and see concerts, and like I'd see these, punk bands rocking out and stuff like that, and be like, man, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to start a band. I want to be in a band. And it's not the way it is now. 1, because I don't go to concerts. I hate concerts. And 2, because I'm old. And but
get off my lawn. Yeah.
But now it's with going and seeing movies, and like this movie in particular, it's
animated movies.
Yeah, animated movies.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. And there's tons of water sims and it's so pretty. And the music in it is excellent, and even though The Rock sings a song, it's kind of funny.
Does he really?
Yeah, he sings a song.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was cool because, like, I don't know too much about Hawaiian culture and stuff like that, but I felt like they kind of stayed true to the whole Polynesian culture because and used actual like Polynesian people. Like The Rock was in it. I think he's from Samoa or Hawaii or something like that. And then the main character was actually someone from Hawaii. And then what's the dude's name from Flight of the Conchords? Jermaine Clement. He was in it. He's from New Zealand or whatever. The
one that sings the Moon Man song on Rick and Morty.
Is that it?
He's the gaseous being.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, he sings a song, man, and they must have had him write the song because it sounds just like a Flight of the Conchords song. It's when
same thing with Rick and Morty. I think he wrote that song.
Oh yeah,
the Moon Man
it
song.
Wouldn't surprise me. When I saw the Muppets movie, not the newest one, but I guess the new like offshoot of the Muppets or whatever that was written by Jason Segel.
Yeah.
The music in that was written by who's the other guy? Not Jermaine, but
Rhett. The other guy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Rhett?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was written by him, and you could tell like that's the Flight of the Conchords style. Just their cadence and the way they sing stuff is beautiful. Anyway, so Jermaine was in it, and he was great. The songs were great, and the story was just fantastic. It was good. It was
is this
so
a Pixar?
good. No, Disney and Pixar are synonymous now.
But the Pixar ones always have the short film before now.
No, the Disney ones do too.
They do?
Yeah,
Was
it's
there
like
one?
they took the idea from Pixar to put the short films because basically, like, so I think I don't know if it's still this way, but I know for a while it was. In order to win an Oscar for a short film, it has to be seen in a theater by a large audience, and
Right.
so like Pixar was winning all these short film Oscars specifically because they were going in front of all the big films that they were doing, and so they were getting a lot of recognition for this. And I think Disney kind of saw that, or it's their chance to give people different animators a chance to do their short stories.
Well, and the other thing about that too, which I read, is that doing the short films is a chance for them to try new techniques on a smaller scale.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I'm not sure if it applied to when they moved over to GI or not, but the one that they did on the last one with the bird on the beach,
Oh gosh, that Piper, that one was gorgeous.
And that's the thing, they're trying new techniques with like water and sand and all that, like how that sand actually like moves under people's under birds' feet or whatever, that kind of thing. It's stuff that like they're trying something new, so they don't want to like do this in a full-length movie. They're going to do it short.
Yeah, that totally makes sense too. Gosh, Piper was so pretty. And it's funny, like there's a certain what's interesting is like Pixar movies and some of these Disney movies and stuff, some of them parts are so realistic. Like they look really realistic. But then you've got cartoony characters in this,
right. Especially like in Toy Story 3 and stuff. When like they really started up in the game with the textures and all that.
And like Big Hero 6, I find a lot of times, they just the elements and the environments just look so real. Man, Big Hero 6 is one of my favorite Disney movies. It is a beautifully animated movie. And this one, Moana, is so good. And like I think I loved the story so much more than she's my favorite Disney princess now. She is my favorite Disney princess now
because take my daughter to see that next week.
You really should. And I feel like it's a really big. This one was like kind of like a big empowerment for women because it's like she is not a princess, so to say. She is the future chief, and so they make it not so much all about like gender roles and stuff like that. It's like no, you're our child, you're the chief, you're the next one. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you can't be the chief.
That's
I don't know. It was very cool. It was very, very cool. So, and The Rock was good. There was a lot of comic, like it was very funny. There was a lot of cheesy jokes and a stupid bird. It's funny. I was
comic
reading
relief, yeah.
I was reading an article where they, I think with every Pixar or Disney movie, they always have a little bit of problems with the story, and then they kind of rework it. In the original version of the story, like there's this chicken character, and he was really, really smart in the first iteration of this, but in order to change the story and make it better, they basically made him the dumbest character in the movie. So, and he plays the comic relief. It's good. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna go see it for sure.
You should. You definitely
should.
We've
been kicking around the idea of doing a short like that for years.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, what was it? I don't know, it was like Paperman or something. I saw Paperman and I was like, oh my gosh, we need to do a short. We should do a short. Or maybe we were watching the Oscars.
Paperman
was, it was around so the same, good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were texting each other during the Oscars like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but we have an idea. It's something you wrote.
Yeah, I
everything
wrote a
kicking
script a
around.
long time ago. So I don't know. We may do it if we got time.
Yeah, and we were toying with the idea. I mean, we were toying with the idea of, do we do like I don't know, I don't want to do a Kickstarter, but maybe a GoFundMe or something,
Yeah,
to get it off the ground. I don't know if.
See, you mentioned
just
that, but
do it.
like,
I mean-
that's actually really, I don't know. I'd love to know what people think, because when, I don't know, established companies like us, I mean, we're established, we pay our salary, we got a little extra in the bank, When a company like that has a GoFundMe for a project, I don't know. That kind of feels.
It's, you know what?
It kind of feels like cheating,
Yeah, well, I mean, we need the money for
we would
time.
need the money, for the time, really,
for the time,
to be able to take
offset-
the time off. But
Right,
still,
exactly.
it's like, I don't know. It does feel like cheating to me, because there's so many like small 1-man, 2-man teams creating shorts and not asking for money,
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It could be fun. I feel like every time we do a big project, it seems like we do more within less time.
Yeah.
And after we just finished this project, it was 16 minutes of animation in like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if we devoted a year to doing, like, I don't know, what would it be? 20 minutes, 15 minutes?
Oh
less,
man, you
more?
could probably do. I think it was 7 minutes was my script.
Okay.
Ran
See,
7 minutes.
7 minutes in a year?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know,
totally.
but there's with that one there's water and fur and
Yeah, but it gives you a whole year to concentrate on that 7 minutes looking really perfect, and not rushing through it, and not, having to like cram your render into one day.
Yeah.
You could let something sit and render for like a week if you wanted to, and come back to it and just see how it did.
Yeah. Don't have to throw everything to the render farm.
Right. Or pay a bunch of money for a
Which,
farm because.
By the way, the render farm ended up shout out to Ranch. What is it?
Yeah.
Ranch
Computing.
Ranch Computing.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. We had a few little caveats here and there, but for the most part, they were able to handle everything we threw at it in Octane, and it all looked pretty good. So
Yeah,
and
mostly
it was
like
fast.
Displacement problems. I emailed them because I need some money back on a scene I did, and you did too. But other than, we'll work that out. What was the reason they gave you for having the difference?
I don't know. It was some sort of issue with like an old version of Octane, which I don't entirely believe that.
There's no way.
From what it feels like to me is that they got different cards, because different cards from what we've seen handle things slightly differently,
Right.
And maybe
they have
they're using
they have two giant nodes. I don't know if you saw on the thing, you can see like that there are 2 nodes working on your project. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
So I'm almost thinking that, like, because it would be like 2 frames here and then 2 frames here and then 2 frames here. It's like those got grouped together in a certain way on one machine.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not network rendering. They're like sending, they're divvying it out to different, machines and stuff.
Yeah, it's not networked. Because if it were networked, it wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would say like 99% of what they do is great. It's just that 1% like really matters.
Yeah. It's good to finally have like a render service that's relatively cheap that we can send some stuff over,
In a crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have enough firepower for what we do normally. But
Absolutely.
This was just
we got
something to scale.
4 computers, and I measured it today or the other day. My 5 980 Ti's combined is equal to 4 1080s.
Right.
Yeah.
Until the Pascal CUDA 8 full integrated architecture comes to Octane, and I'm really looking forward to that. I have I have a gut
it'll
feeling.
get there about the same time 3.1.
Oh man, even better. It's just going to be slamming. It's going to be great. I forgot to mention, if you are listening to this on Monday, it is Cyber Monday, and Luminous is on sale for $49. It will be switching back to regular price of $69 on Tuesday.
Will it?
Yes.
Can't we keep it for another week?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe through Tuesday, but not long. We'll think about it.
Because
so get it as fast as you can.
All I gotta say is, it's a Christmas season, and everyone's gonna be ending theirs on Cyber Monday.
This episode of Brograph, sponsored by Brograph.
All I'm saying is that we throw it up for an extra week. Everyone else has changed their price, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to spend that much money." Oh, look, Brograph is still running a sale on their amazing Brograph Luminous plugin for Octane with the always needed spotlight.
If we give it some time, and everybody's getting their emails probably tomorrow when they get to work. We'll give it some time, and if it looks like it's doing well, we'll keep the sale going.
Yeah. So
just keep an eye out for that.
So yeah, and if you're looking for a spotlight.
What? What?
Anyway,
what are you talking about?
If you're looking for a spotlight for Octane, for those who haven't purchased it.
That's what we just said.
All right.
That's what I just said.
I know. I'm just trying.
What day is it?
I'm trying to be Schmoozy Matt trademark.
Oh, yeah.
Trademark Schmoozy Matt.
Trademark. All right, let's talk about some motion graphic stuff. Let's talk about Substance Designer.
Yeah, because this one was on Black Friday sale.
Yeah, it was.
And so, I've been seeing people talk about Substance Designer like crazy on Twitter. And so I was like, I looked it up. It was only $150, instead of $300. So it's 50% off. And I was like, even if it's not that good, $150 isn't that much to blow.
Yeah,
and with everyone who's been talking about it, I was like,
that's what she said.
Sorry, gosh. So
couldn't help it. It
was a good one. But with so many people talking about it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna call Dave. Let's buy this.
Yeah,
and I haven't had a chance to mess with it,
but I have.
Yeah,
but I have.
I've been playing with Cycles and Redshift.
Yeah,
trying to find
I took this and I ran with it, man, and I watched 3 tutorials on this so far and moved along, so I'm pretty much an expert by now. Yeah. There we go. I really like this program.
Yeah.
And let me tell you the reasons. Number one, nodal based. If you know things about nodes, it's totally easy. User interface, it's totally intuitive. If you watch just a couple tutorials, it makes total sense. If you're a Cinema 4D person,
total package.
It's the total package. So here's the cool thing, though. Like, if you're a cinema guy, 3D guy, and you're kind of thinking about doing Unreal, or maybe you already do like Unreal Engine or Unity, and with all this Octane stuff coming to both of them, and VR, it's all kind of turning into one thing, right? So there's a lot of talk about PBR materials, textures, stuff like that. Like textures.com has them. In fact, textures.com now has a Substance Designer section with textures for Substance Designer. And the reason is you can build these different packages and you can export them for just about anything. Whether you're doing a game engine or you're doing something in Octane and Cinema, like
Cinema 4D has a specific plugin for Substance Designer. It's a Substance shader that imports everything and brings it in exactly like a Substance Designer one.
Yeah, and it's really cool because what I like, and I wish this could integrate into Cinema 4D eventually. I haven't tried the Substance Designer plugin for Cinema yet because I was just playing with the program itself. I did bring in the resulting textures in manually.
Yeah.
Did it
look exactly the same?
Pretty much.
And were you just were they exporting as bitmaps or as PNGs or something? And then
anything you want.
But wouldn't that limit it to not being whatchamacallit?
Procedural?
Yeah, procedural.
Yes.
Because I would think if you're using the actual Substance Designer plugin, it would keep the proceduralness of it,
If that is able to integrate into Octane and into an Octane texture, but I don't know because I haven't gotten that far with it yet.
Okay.
What I do like, which I don't think is integrated into this plugin, I don't know if it's possible, it would be really cool to have this, is if you are working on a texture, Let's say that you do, I don't know. Let's say you do an HSV. Hue saturation levels node, and you put it in between something, like you're doing a rust texture and you got some noise and you've got that coming in, and you're kind of doing a happy medium with HSV for rust so that you can control the level of rust with the HSV. You can take that slider for those levels and you can rename it and assign it something and call it rust level. And then once you do that, that actual slider will export to the package that you put into something like Unreal Engine or something. So you can create these packages that are ready to go with like certain color levels, blur levels, rust levels, all this stuff kind of in its own pre-packaged thing. Kind of like if you were doing like Espresso with user data in Cinema. And then when you bring that into something like Unreal, then you have just the sliders you want for those things. Cool. Nodes aside, you don't have to think about the nodes anymore.
Kind of like packaging up a Houdini thing and bringing it into Cinema? Is it similar to
I don't know. I haven't. I gotta try the plugin. I haven't gotten that far yet. But
they're still running the sale, by the way. They may keep it through Cyber Monday. So if you haven't had a chance to pick it up and you're wanting to get that deal, it's only $149 right now.
Yeah, we may get another license.
I think we should.
So we can both use it at the same time. We actually might end up using it that much.
Yeah. That's funny because I'm the one telling you earlier, hey, I think we should get a second license, and you're like, nah, when will we ever use it at the same time?
I know. Because if you want to do,
all right, I'm buying it,
and we're both okay. Do it. Buying it on the show. See, it really is that good. It really is. Like, it is so much fun to play with, and the thing is, sometimes, depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing architectural or something like that, and like I know a lot of times when I'm doing architectural, when they call for a certain kind of brick, I just can't find the right brick texture. They're like, I want brick texture like this. And it's like, I can't find that. I'm going to have to make my own. And I don't have a good way to make my own. And this is kind of how you can do this because there's so many options, you know, when it comes to like noises and grunge and patterns and just different nodes that warp things and do stuff. And it's all procedural. The other thing about it too is that you can work in any resolution that you want too. You know, and you can work in absolute resolution if you want at the end and say I want everything to be 4096 by 4096 and export it that way. You know, or it's just possibilities are endless and the tutorials are really good. They'll get you going really quick. I was just super impressed. You know, and the fact that textures.com has
Substance
some of
Designer.
These, like integrated into it now. It's just like, you know, and you get for that 150 too. What else did we get with it? We got
you get like Substance Designer,
packages.
You get Substance Painter, and you get bitmap to bitmap to something.
Yeah, I forget exactly what it is. It's something I forget. It's something that I didn't know what it was, and I haven't tried it yet.
It's basically
you get some texture packs, I think, too, right?
I don't know. It's basically like Crazy Bump, you know?
Oh yeah. It's like a converter program or something.
Substance Painter and Substance B2M. That's basically bitmap to material. So basically, it's just like Crazy Bump. It'll take a image and it will create normals from it, create, you know, displacement, create, you know, your diffuse. That's and cool. Create your specular and your roughness and all that cool jazz.
Well, if it gives you the level of control that Substance Designer does, I mean, I'm so, I mean, it's worth $150 just for Substance Designer because that's all I've played with, and I can tell you, like, I'm really loving just creating random things with this. It's so much fun. It's just, and it has OpenGL support, and it also has iRay built in, which it looks different. It looks like iRay instead of like OpenGL, like a video game. But when you're building, the OpenGL is good enough, honestly. When I switched to iRay, it got real slow and you couldn't rotate without it kind of hanging. And then it crashed on me the second time I tried it. And I was like, okay, well, OpenGL is where it's at. Fully real time. You can put different HDRs in there when you're working with your materials too and see what it's going to look like. I'm totally on board. So
cool. We just bought a second license.
All right, there we go. Woo-hoo. So, let's talk some render engines too. We got a few different things to say about every render engine, I think,
basically.
right this week.
Let's start with Octane.
We'll start with Octane.
Let's start with Octane because I've been real pissed at Octane. And not Otoy. I've been pissed at Octane this past week.
And this is interesting because I don't know if it's justified, and I'll explain why after you explain.
I know. So, fireflies have been the bane of our existence the past week. You know, we had to render in a lower sample in order to get some of these images out faster.
Right.
But even some of the ones that I've rendered at really high samples in order to try and get rid of some of these like specular highlight fireflies, I guess. You know, because it's not your typical firefly where it's just like a random white whatever. With some of them we could get rid of, or you know, just the samples weren't high enough in order to create some cool like smooth bokeh. So we were having to use a really good plugin. It was the neat denoiser. And
and I had that in the list. Did we not talk about that last week?
We did. We totally talked about it last week.
Okay,
you know?
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, and it's really good. But you know, we had these textures on some of our characters that were, you know, they were noisy on purpose. Like, you know, that was part of the texture.
They were grunge.
Yeah, it was a grungy texture, you know, and I felt like it kind of muddied up the texture a little bit, but
anything noise reduction.
Yeah. So anyway, and you know, it would get rid of some of the fireflies, but man, like we actually had to physically go through and clone stamp out frame by frame a bunch of these individual fireflies. I mean,
and then I found a better method at the end, but it was too late because we were done.
Yeah, of course. Which only took you a couple seconds once you figured it out?
Yeah.
To get rid of them? Yeah. Whatever.
I did get really good at doing clone stamps. I was in my like David Ari of like Zen of like Roto Zen.
Yeah.
In painting things out, just listening to music and Roto.
Yeah, you know, and actually it was cool because I knew that was an option. But I didn't realize actually how easy it is. The clone stamp, you know, clone stamp frame by frame. Like it's exactly like Photoshop's clone stamp. It's way awesome. So
yeah, I've used it before on some really quick small things, but yeah. The thing is, like
I was super pissed at Octane. I was like, I am never using this render engine again for a big project like this. I'm gonna learn something new, blah blah blah. And so I know. It was just me being angry, right. You know, but odds are, here's the thing with every render engine, as much as I want every render engine to be better than Octane, Octane is still, damn it, the fastest one there is.
And you don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, there are fireflies, and I hear people who are just so pissed about fireflies all the time when they talk about Octane, and all the time I'm like, I never had this issue. Like most of the time, I mean, we work in projects all the time, every day in Octane, and we have never had this problem until this big thing, and it was strictly a texture thing. Because we've had noise before. This isn't noise. This is fireflies. Completely two separate things. You can jack up your levels as far as you can on samples, and they will not go away. You can turn your hot pixels down to 0 until everything's muddy looking, still going to be there. And this is like a deep-rooted problem in specular, and I don't quite understand what it is. We know what textures are causing it, so it would be kind of cool to go in and kind of investigate. Because there is a solution to it, but, you know, then your stuff doesn't look as good as you want it to look. Yeah. You know, so that's why you have to roto. And every engine is going to have its share of issues.
Yeah, and, you know, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, well, if you move over to a biased render engine like Redshift or Arnold or, you know, V-Ray or something like that, you're going to have to deal with the noise in the shadows and stuff like that. And it's like, ugh. So, because I've been reading up on the Redshift documentation, and I've still been playing with the demo or the beta and stuff, and I really like Redshift. There's some things that I really don't know how to do, but I freaking love the ability to be able to exclude lights you know, and exclude
Yep.
reflections and
Shadows
and shadows, and the freaking atmosphere stuff is absolutely incredible. Like
out of focus, the
how
bokeh,
easy
it's
it
just
is.
everything.
You know, and so like I've been playing with Redshift and I really like it, and there's just I wish, you know, nodes are cool. I'm just not a huge fan of them, you know. I wish it was just a little bit easier just to throw in a texture, like an image texture, instead of having to actually go through a node. But whatever. It's just me, you know, and that's
I'm a middle ground guy too.
Yeah, the thing is, like, sometimes nodes are much better, you know.
Of course.
But
sometimes it's not worth the time. Sometimes you don't need
Sometimes you just want to open a material and, you know, click a button and load your texture image really quick, you know?
Right.
It's like, why do I have to completely open up my whole shader graph and bring in a texture node that then connects to the color node that then connects to the surface node? And it's like, just give me
like
a click
using
box.
Nuke instead of After Effects.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So anyway, and you know, I was talking to Chad the other day, and he said, you know, I think it was when we were talking about cycles or something, and he said, I think he said something like that will kind of turn the nodal based stuff is, and I totally agree with him because I've been playing around with it, and it's very confusing for someone coming from Octane or your standard renderer or something like that. It's very confusing and seems a little convoluted, you know.
Yeah, it really helps to know nodes.
Tonight,
it really does.
So when you and I got on Skype a couple hours ago, you know, we were going over notes, and meanwhile, I had one computer running Cycles and then another computer running Redshift, and so I was trying to create the exact same thing in both of them. You know, just a simple little scene with atmosphere and blah, 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 because I had created a simple cube on a cyc wall and they looked completely different, you know, like basically the same setup, and they both looked in like miles different. So I wanted to start from scratch and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then I ran into the biggest problem of just like trying to change the scale of a texture image and a displacement, and even adding displacement is kind of confusing. With Redshift, you have to add a mesh tag to it and tell it to use displacement, and then I couldn't even get displacement to work on Cycles. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly the way that
I'm glad you just got it working at all.
Yeah, well, okay, so like I've been really frustrated with it because like it's been a week and a half or something, and just now I'm finally getting a chance to use it, because the first version that they sent out to everyone that we bought just didn't work. It would crash my cinema every single time.
And I haven't installed my license, so I don't even know.
Right. So then the second version that they sent crashed it as well. Anytime I would do the live viewer, it would crash it. So then they finally sent out a third version, you know, and I thought it was still giving me an error. It turned out that I had actually still had the old version installed. So I finally got the new one installed today or yesterday, and I've been playing it with it, and it's cool. The nodal based stuff is difficult, and if you're going to use Cycles, you need to have a lot of screen real estate, you know, because you're going to have to use the node stuff. You're going to want to have your interactive preview renderer. You're going to want to have to, and so much stuff. And that node stuff takes up a lot of real estate on your screen. So that's difficult. But I mean,
it's good to know nodes though. Like,
it is. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I my first experience with nodes was Shake.
Mine was actually Espresso.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
and
recent.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, we've been working in Espresso for a while.
Well, yeah.
But like understanding Espresso and how that worked made it surprisingly easy.
Yeah.
So,
but I do see what you're saying though. The times that you don't want to use nodes because it's just overkill. I get it. But at the same time, like doing the Substance Designer stuff, it was just like I knew nodes. Like this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And so, like, the big difference that I've found I'll say of the two render engines that I've been playing with, Redshift and Cycles, I like Redshift better. It looks more realistic. The blurry reflections and stuff look so good.
how about the noise?
No, there's not too much noise. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing with Cycles. So it's an unbiased render engine. So you have to choose what kind of GI you want. You know. You've got none, and you've got a primary and a secondary, and this is very similar to V-Ray. You know, I felt like I was in V-Ray doing this stuff. So you've got your primary and your secondary bounces, you know, for GI, and you can select none and none, which is basically like direct lighting in Octane. Right. You know.
Now, if you do use a GI, do you get, like, basically what I'm saying? There's always something that you have to deal with. Like in Octane, it's noise, and with standard render, you got the GI flicker.
Yeah.
Do you get GI flicker in Redshift?
Depending on what you're using, you know, they've got three or four different GI options. So you got none. You've got brute force. Which if you use brute force, you're not going to get any flicker, but you got to make sure that your samples are up pretty high. But if your samples, here's the thing, because it's GPU render, you can jack your samples up and it doesn't really affect your time too much, even though the brute force method is technically the slowest, you know? Then you've got your irradiance cache, I believe it is. Let me open it up real quick.
And is there noise as well?
Yeah. I mean, like with your irradiance cache, you have to set your minimum and maximum rate and make sure that your samples and your shadows are high enough, you know?
So both Cycles and Redshift?
No, Cycles. Cycles I felt like had a lot of noise. No, it had with what I was trying, it had a lot of fireflies. You know, like I had a ton of fireflies, you know, and it's just, I had my samples up. My samples are at like 576 and it just feels noisy, you know, it just feels really noisy. And so, but I like with Cycles versus Redshift, I really do like, with Cycles, I really like that you can change it from CPU or just one CUDA or OpenCL or multi-CUDA, you know. That's really cool, you know, versus Redshift is entirely GPU. And so anyway, you've got photon map, irradiance cache, brute force, or none, you know.
Okay. And
so like you choose whichever one you want. I've just been doing either none or brute force, you know. And brute force is good because you there's not a lot of settings. Like it's basically just how many number of rays. Okay, well, jack it up to 128 or 1028. So then, you know, it still goes pretty fast.
What about
the like I said, blurry reflections just look fantastic.
And what about static noise?
Like as far as like, is like static noise in
Does it
Octane?
have the option? Does it have the option like Octane does? Or?
I don't know. I don't know if. I don't think Redshift does.
Doesn't matter. I'm not a big fan of static noise. I know you were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, I know you don't like it because it's, you know, you think it looks fake, which I understand that because I was looking at one of my animations that I had static noise, but it's just so much easier just not to deal with that noise, you know?
The thing, though, is like when you have static noise, it's almost like if you put like... in After Effects, if you put one frame, a still frame of noise in your scene and the camera's moving and none of the noise is, it just looks like two images on top of each other to me.
Yeah, it really does. It really did. So, but the Redshift I felt like makes a much more realistic picture. You know, and it's probably just me, you know, doing it wrong. But I did feel like Redshift creates a much more realistic picture. The other big thing that I like with Redshift over Cycles is the camera options. You know, like you've actually got a full-on like camera, and the you can select your. Hold on, let me open it up. You've got lens options as well. So you can do lens effects, which adds, you can adjust your ISO or your shutter speed or your f-stop, all that cool stuff. And then you can add bokeh. But with cycles, you only have f-stop or radius, and you can change whichever, but that doesn't actually affect how much light it's letting in. It only affects your depth of field. You can only adjust your depth of field and your motion blur in your camera settings.
Right.
If I'm understanding this correctly.
I know what you're saying. So we have a question that's related to this, actually, about the whole kind of choosing an engine and cycles and redshift, all that. So Dan Dillinger sent us a message on Facebook and said, so long story short, taking a new job where I will be the only 3D guy, but finally doing some more animation.
Congrats.
Something I'm not as comfortable with. I will basically be the one there to answer any 3D questions and help grow the business in a way from a technical standpoint. Now, I use Octane for personal work. My old job, I use the standard C4D render engine, but I'm wondering if something like Redshift might be more what I should tell them to invest in. He said they have a small render farm for After Effects stuff, but not sure if it's GPU or CPU. I imagine it's CPU. In general,
CPU too.
It's a little intimidating to be the only person and having people look at me like I know everything. So I want them.
I can understand that.
I want them to invest in the right software so I don't shoot myself in the foot later on when we need to scale up, outsource to a render cloud. He says I'm going to try and push them to get a PC, and render times scare them, so I want to push for third-party renderers since I'll be doing things like exploding Heineken bottles.
Cool.
Clips I've seen online, it looks like you can use standard C4D materials and lights with Redshift. Is that true? If it's true, it seems like a pretty big game changer.
Let's give it a try.
Things there. First of all, being a person in that position, you gotta make yourself the
yourself the industry professional,
right?
And that's really hard, especially when you've got people who think they know what they're talking about and really don't.
True, and hopefully they're listening to you. And if they are listening to you fully, I understand that responsibility. However, even here's the thing, I feel like even if you choose the wrong render engine, you're still probably making a better decision than they would.
For sure.
As funny as that sounds, but there's some things to keep in mind. Now, first of all, if they have that render farm, it's probably CPU. The first thing to do is see really how good it is. Maybe it's not that great to begin with. Maybe that won't make much of a difference in your decision. When you're making that decision between GPU or CPU, it's all about where you think you're going to go in the future. Because you could go Arnold, of course. It's like the only engine that we haven't talked about so far.
Yeah.
If you wanted to stick with that CPU thing, but if you want to upgrade, you're going to have to get more CPUs.
Yeah. Arnold is also more expensive. It's around, I think, $1,200. For a license, and I think in order to do render nodes, you have to buy more licenses.
Which is
I could be wrong.
Similar
on that.
with a lot of other ones too. And of course, there's more options with rendering to a farm with Arnold. You're going to be able to find more CPU farms rather than GPU farms that are going to be able to handle that. Even Ranch Computing does that, like we were talking about earlier. And but there are a lot more options. There are more GPU options coming up. Now, the other thing is, it just depends on how many projects you're doing, how long you can wait for a render, that kind of thing. If it's something where you could buy like a giant handful of 1080s and you can render a project overnight based on that kind of scale, then you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of thing where you're probably going to get more bang for your buck out of GPU over CPU at that scale, if that makes sense. Now, if you're going to do just these massive projects, and you'll definitely need a farm then like maybe something like Arnold will be better because you're going to have to throw to a farm anyway. And you can't say, okay, I'm going to render on Arnold on this overnight because it is CPU. You don't have a lot of other CPUs. It might be something where it's a higher, render time per frame, and that's just where you got to go with that. And then you get into the other options, which is, what if you went to cycles and then you had an option for both, and you could hold it out and you could wait and you could see where everything's going, and no matter where you go, you could pick one of the other engines that makes it, because whatever hardware you have at the time.
Yeah, that's the big positive with cycles, is that it's CPU and GPU. And V-Ray's like that too. So here's one thing that pisses me off about V-Ray. Just give me a dang trial. Like, give me a demo, Yeah. Like, I would just like to try it because I want to see how good your GPU rendering is,
Right.
But it's like, man, the V-Ray for C4D people piss me off so bad. Because it's like, come on, dude. Like, everyone else offers a free trial that we can actually try it out. Like, you expect me to blindly give you $1,200 for a render engine that I used version 1.9, and there's a whole new set of, features that I don't know will it work or not. I don't know.
Well, again, coming back to that whole, whole question.
Here's the thing. Redshift will work with standard materials, but I can't seem to get it to do displacement correctly. So.
Well, and Octane will work with standard materials too on the fly, but it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing, you're going to get better results from native. But, with the Redshift question too, it's like, ad agency I used to work at, we did a lot of liquor bottles and stuff, and it was plenty for us to have. What do we have? Two machines with two of them with 760s, dual 760s, and one with dual 970s, and that was plenty. We could let something render overnight. It was done. We didn't have to go to a farm. We weren't worried about that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing where GPU can be okay if you're not worrying about the scale up. Of course, the GPU farms are getting bigger now, so that might change as well if they see where the trend's going. And then the other thing is, I think I wrote back, I said Redshift is still in beta, so I wouldn't recommend going to that.
Here's the thing, though.
Yet.
It's a pretty solid beta. Like,
it is, but it's too
I haven't crashed
early.
this thing even once. Like, in the entire time of every time I've played with it, I have not crashed it once. Cycles has crashed on me numerous times.
It's one of those things, though, where it's in its infancy. Where, I don't know where it's going. If it starts picking up, then maybe. It's just so hard to say. But, that's one of those situations where you already know Octane. Like, in this case, you already know Octane because you've been using it, for personal stuff. So you could get a license of Octane, put it on a GPU machine, and then if Redshift really takes off, then you just flip over to it because you went the GPU route,
Now, here's the thing, though. Like, if you're running Octane, the thing is, if you know Octane, I would say stick with that, and go that route. If you're going to convince your office to buy a brand new computer, get them to invest in the GPUs and have a good little, render node, and that'll be good for almost 95% of what you do. Now, switching over to something like Redshift or Arnold or V-Ray, it's a whole different beast.
You got to be sure you want to do it, like you have to spend the time in Arnold and make sure that that's the way you want to go before you decide, because you don't want to be fumbling through it. You don't want them to invest all this money and time in you, and then you're like sitting there fumbling with it and you can't answer questions because you don't know it well enough. If you had been working with Arnold on the side for a really long time and you were getting more comfortable with it, maybe. That's why it's a tough call. If you're going to be the go-to and you already know Octane, then you're just going to jump right in there and be like, I got it, guys. Like, this is how you use it.
Totally.
And like we talked about last week, when you're working in an engine for a long time, you know when this error happens, this is why. Oh, you got fireflies? That's something in your specular channel.
Yep.
You know, like that kind of thing, you know? So, tough question. Tough call.
I still can't figure out how to do
follow-up.
displacement in Redshift.
So, we had a V-Ray question too.
Yeah.
Thomas said, nice podcast, but do you really think V-Ray is over?
Yes.
Images from V-Ray still look better than many other engines. Being stuck with, in quotes, a black Mac Pro, the trash can, it seems V-Ray would be my best bet, or perhaps RenderMan. Everything else seems to be CUDA. He says, I doubt V-Ray... Oh, you said, I doubt V-Ray would ever take back control, but... You know, Octane 3.1 is an option in the future, and there's always cycles. And I wrote back and I said Arnold, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I had said, and this is something I straight up stole from Chad. This is something he told me that I 100% agree with, and that it's, if Chaos Group was to take back V-Ray for C4D and implement it themselves instead of outsourcing it or giving license to an outside person,
Stefan.
To Stefan, then it could probably do something, you know? But the fact that Chaos Group, I don't think Chaos Group really cares about V-Ray for C4D, you know?
Right.
And they don't really care.
Should, though.
They should. I mean, yeah. I mean, you've got different versions across all the different plugins for it, you know? And that's just... Why I feel like you would want something that is... Apple talks about this, and you know, I hate that I'm going to talk about Apple, but they're smart because they want everyone to be on the same page as far as like operating system and stuff like that. That's why they always gave out their operating system for free or whatever, the free upgrades and stuff like that, because they wanted people to upgrade. They didn't want people to have to pay for it to keep them from upgrading, you know, versus PC, you know, you got people still on Windows XP and still on whatever, blah, 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 because they just don't want to pay for the upgrades. I mean, Windows 10 is what, $110?
Yeah, so now they force you.
Right. Anyway, so, like, there's so many different versions with V-Ray and so many different people making it, you know, it just doesn't... It doesn't feel all on the same page.
Well, the same applies to stuff like Octane, but it just feels different.
It does. Well, because you don't go to a specific, like if you type in V-Ray and go to Chaos Group's website, you can't find it. You know, at least I don't think. You have to go to a whole different V-Ray 4CD. And here's what's stupid, man. It's just so annoying because I typed in, I did a Google search for V-Ray 4CD, C4D demo to see if I could find maybe a demo link. Oh, look, there's a link for a demo. Oh, click on it. Oh, that's not a download link for a demo. Oh, that just sends you back. And it's all just this crappy backwards page that he's never updated. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Update your damn website once in a while, you know? Like, he's still got announcements that say 1.8 is released. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You don't even care enough about your website? What makes me think that you care enough about your render engine? And why am I going to throw $1,200 at you for a render engine that, one, I can't even demo, and two, is like, there's... Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, like, I think... If Chaos Group was to take it back, yeah, totally. Like, it might be able to do something, but it won't. And Chad had mentioned this when we were at Half Res. He said, you know, Arnold could throw a whole wrench in everyone's Autodesk, because when they bought Arnold at NAB, well, you know, around that time,
announced it,
yeah, and Chad said, you know, basically, if Autodesk was to give away Arnold for free. That'd be the end, you know? Like, everyone would start using that. Exactly, yeah. So, I don't know. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see a GPU Arnold renderer. You know, that is really what I'm wishing for.
That would GPU. Be the game change. That would be the Octane killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know a lot of people who would, stick with Arnold entirely instead of, using Octane as well. So,
but it's true. There's still a lot of people using V-Ray. There's still a lot of good things about it.
And
but the other thing though is that you've got like, remember back in the day, like when you would tell people, "Oh, working with 3D," they'd be like, "Oh, have you used V-Ray?" Like that was the big thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like if have you tried V-Ray? Oh my gosh, V-Ray looks so like. But now when you say you use Cinema 4D or you do 3D, people either say one of two things. They say, "Are you using Octane? Are you using Arnold?" To me, that's what I get. Like, what if somebody is talking about a render engine? They either say like the leader in GPU or the leader in CPU.
Yeah,
and that's what it feels like to me. Now, maybe that's just my circles. Maybe that's an echo chamber, so to speak. But
yeah,
that's what I hear. So, yeah,
I don't know. Oh, stupid. Trying to do some displacement in Redshift, and I don't even have displacement texture in there.
Oh, that would help.
Yeah.
So let's do some follow-up here.
Totally.
First of all, we already talked about some of this, just working in big projects. Brute forcing sometimes is always a better solution if you're trying to make something work.
Yeah, I was actually, speaking of that, the other day I had to create these soldiers that we're building on, one after the next, and had to, offset them by a couple frames, and I kept on trying to do a step effector and just could not get it to work right. I wish the step effector would have some sort of cloner option to where it would, like, because my cloner was going along a spline, and then anyway, and it just wasn't working. I ended up just brute forcing the whole thing, making them editable, changing the position, and then just offsetting them myself.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes, man.
Yep. And it works.
We talked about this other stuff and branch computing. You want to follow up on, you had talked a long time ago about the error in taxes and how it caused you so much pain.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I hate that.
Yeah, I think once we get closer to April, we'll probably start talking about taxes more.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm not looking forward to that.
I know. We talked about Neat Video. Did I mention Masterclass last week?
Yeah, that you're taking a master class for, beatboxing
I might have
or
told
something.
You, beatboxing.
No,
I
you
might have told
mentioned it. You mentioned
Did I mention
it
it on the show?
Yeah, you mentioned it on the show.
See, I was like in a haze, I guess.
Yeah.
This is Dead Miles Masterclass. So I thought when I got the thing that it started in 23 hours. It started because it had a countdown that was 23 days.
Oh, nice.
So I thought I was going to be well into it by now. Of course, I got to wait. So maybe that's something I can do in between Christmas and New Year's. And,
yeah, maybe.
I'm still waiting on my Kano computing box to show up so that I can do this little build your own computer with my daughter. I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
They sent me the wrong thing, and so they've expedited me the new one. And so I'm going to kind of report back on how that goes. It's supposed to be as easy to do as Legos, but you're building a computer, and it's for 6-year-olds. So.
Just your perfect age range.
I know. So some other follow-up here, or not follow-up, but just some other random stuff. This is something I came across with. Haven't had too much time to look into it yet, but it's called ESRI City Engine, and it's a city generator deal that uses maps and stuff to build areas of cities. Kind of like Google Maps type thing, but it looks like it will do cool exports like ABC and things like that. So haven't had much time to look into it, but I'm kind of curious. It sparked my interest on if we ever need to do anything specifically in a real place, recreate a part of a city or something in the buildings and whatnot.
Have you checked out the Google Earth VR?
I heard about it. I haven't tried it yet.
It's I've seen some videos of it. My brother was playing around with it. I think he got the HTC Vive and was playing with it, and he said it's awesome. Just
what I need
way
to do?
Awesome.
I should hook up my Oculus Rift to the PC we built because it's all kind of running on my my PC side of my computer, my Mac, and I just don't get around to switching.
Yeah,
over
you
to
really
that
should
often.
install all that stuff.
Yeah,
And we'll
So
have
I think I
a
would use it
day
more.
where we do that.
especially when my hand controllers are coming because I got those on pre-order. So, so OK Go Video. Did you see the new one?
I did, yes.
That's always a good topic, man. They always do something to raise the bar. So they did this video. We'll put a link if you haven't seen it yet, where the entire music video is shot in like 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds.
Well, here's the thing. They shot the main part in 4.5 seconds, and then...
And then some other stuff.
Yeah. Then there was other stuff.
Yeah. But it's amazing. I wish maybe they got a behind the scenes type thing they could show at some point on how you time all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be so precise, and even down to like the tripod and how it moves, and figuring out frames per second and how you're going to make things go off and explosions. And
Here's what bugged me. So at the beginning, he's doing this little flip book as things are going off.
looks fake. Looks fake.
That's gotta be fake.
Looks CG. Totally.
Because there's no way that they could get him to flip it at the exact right time, you know?
Right.
So, but there's a part where he swings a blade or something, and it's cutting through all those paint cans, the spray paint things. And I was like, well, how could they get him to swing it right at the right time? He's not actually swinging it. Like it's on a mechanism that makes it swing. It just
Right.
looks like he's the one swinging it.
Yeah, but the thing with the book though, if you go back and look at the book, it looks fake, but also it's like, I know you couldn't do it at the right time, but maybe they did some sort of Twixtor frame blending thing to even it all out, but it looks fake.
Yeah, it does.
Or
and I'm pretty
maybe
sure
even
it's
fixed.
gotta be.
Yeah. But they always come up with something cool like that. It's like, man, if I had a bunch of money and I could just sit around for a year coming up with something like that, that'd be fun.
They said there was a lot. I saw a behind the scenes thing on it. They said there was a lot of preparation for it. Like,
I imagine.
a ton of prep.
Like ridiculous prep.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of person who likes that kind of preparation.
I know
think
you
I could
do.
do something like that. So, the only other link I have, which speaking of VR, Xbox One game streaming is coming to Windows 10 with Oculus Rift.
That's cool. That's really cool.
You'll be able to stream Xbox One to the PC, and you're not seeing like 3D gaming. That's not what it is, but it creates like this virtual theater in Oculus Rift, and you could play those games. So like it would work perfect for, my particular setup, because my living room is downstairs. It could stream up, and I could play on the headset. And I'll be interested to see where that goes. Like if they end up doing Xbox stuff where you could play it through the computer to VR and have actual 3D gaming. I haven't tried this, and maybe it's just because I don't have the VR helmet in the best place for this, but like there's a lot of stuff on the Rift where you're not watching something in 3D, you're watching it on a screen, and you're like in a movie theater, or you're at the drive-in, and I just don't understand the appeal. Maybe it's because I haven't really tried it, but like watching a movie at a drive-in with your helmet on, is that fun?
I don't think that's fun.
I mean,
like I would rather. Yeah, I don't think that's fun. Me personally,
it's tough to say. I'm gonna have to try it because I've opened some of these and I've just played a quick video just to see what it looks like. Try a different theater, pick your seat in the theater that you want to sit in, that kind of thing. But I haven't sat there and watched a whole movie.
That seems like it would be really boring.
But, how is it different from going to a movie theater? You got something on your head? I mean, it might be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe.
I just need to force myself to do like a whole movie and just see. So,
good luck with that.
Yeah. So, all right. Email, social. Let's go to some of this here. just got a couple here. Remember, you can email us, brograph@brograph.com, if you have any questions. If they're simple, hard, complicated, doesn't matter what it is. If it's about the business or about render engines or graphics or whatever it is, feel free to email us. This is Neil
Stancy Costa.
Yes. Stanny Costa.
Well, I call him Neil Stancy.
Stancy. I don't think you're... Yeah. He says, hey there, I'm buying a new PC tomorrow, and it's in part your fault. I know you've got a monster PC around, and listening to the podcast made me jealous. I'm struggling with a graphic card, though. Should I go for multiple 980 Ti's, like 3 of them, or should I go straight to the Pascal architecture and buy 2 of them, like 2 1080s or maybe 3 1070s? Thanks, and keep the podcast coming. You responded. That was kind of our deal, too. Not sure what we wanted to do.
And our answer was basically, it can come down to money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's up to money, and in our particular situation, money didn't matter. As nice as it is to say that, money did not matter.
Right.
So we went for the 4 1080s, mostly because we were able to get them immediately.
Well, that and the thought
having
of,
to wait.
And Pascal architecture, having the investment in Pascal architecture, knowing that it'll pay off later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just being one more step ahead of the game in not falling behind on the on the technology.
Right.
You know, it's like it's the same thing with CPUs, right? When these CPUs do major updates, you know, it's like, do you want to go with the i5 or the i7? Same kind of deal, right? The i7 is probably going to get you a little bit further down the road and make you upgrade like later on in life. So, you know, if you can find a real cheap deal on 980s too, you know, you can load them up. So, but I feel comfortable with the decision that we've made now.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
So, and then Sage, 2 different things. First of all, he finally caught up on the shows and said, "What the f? Nobody told me about about transfer."
Yeah,
we were talking about transfer tool last week, and said hashtag ABC. Always be learning.
Always be learning.
And also said you should have your wives on an episode and hear the opinions of our better halves from the long hours that we pull at work. And you know, told him that we have talked about that in the past, and he said, but Schmoozy Matt TM fears nothing.
I told him I had thought about that, but you guys really don't want to know what our wives have to say about us.
Right. Well, back when I did the old show, Urban Coffee, we did have an episode where we had our wives on the show with us. But I was thinking about this today when I read that tweet, and I'm like, what we should do, this would be awful, I'm sure, but we set up the recording and get everything going and doing its thing, and then we bring our wives in, put the headphones on them, and say, oh, okay, we're gonna go chill, and we leave and see what happens.
Well, now that you said that, see, my wife actually listens to the show, so shouldn't have said that.
she'll go for it.
That's pretty funny.
That'd be interesting.
That would be hilarious.
Of course, you know, we get to edit the show, so we can edit any of it out.
That would be hilarious.
We'd have to have some sort of like agenda of what they'd be lost. I mean,
maybe.
they can only talk about us for so long. Like, we'd have to have some sort of an outline for them to go by. You know?
Yeah.
You know, like you know, family and money and weekends and like those like topics of being the wife when the husbands are running their own business. You know, missing
family outings and
family,
stuff.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, all right. Well, there was our 30-minute to an hour show that lasted 2 hours.
An hour 35. It was a small break in there because my computer is still doing funky stuff. My cat decided to come up and touch me, and it shocked me and completely turned off my computer.
Not your computer, but your microphone.
Basically the same thing.
It's short of your...
Might as well have.
Your microphone doesn't have a ground, and it needs a... Something's not right there.
I don't know. How am I supposed to ground my microphone?
We can figure it out. I mean, technically, it should be grounded. Maybe maybe the ground inside is shorted out or something. We'll have to figure that out.
I don't know.
So, you can rate us on iTunes. Check to see if we have some more iTunes reviews.
Yeah, I will. I will do that right now.
They can leave a review on iTunes. That helps get us our ratings up. And you can also subscribe if you listen on YouTube or whatever. And, that will help with our ratings as well. Mm-hmm. We have a newsletter, which doesn't go out very often. Sometimes it does. We did send out the little special we had on the plugin
we have
this week.
0 new reviews.
Oh, come on.
Come on, bros.
Give us a little rating. Tell everybody what you think of the show so that more people will learn about us. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the No Brograph tee, and the Paul Babb shirt, which is what
all proceeds go to Doctors Without Borders.
Yes. So you can get those, and we need to check to see how many we've done and send a chunk out of donation because I know we're
going to do that this week.
So we'll do that, and then David
Sorry
Ariev.
if you guys hear my dog in the background tippy tapping everywhere.
David
her new nickname is Tippy Tappy because she just tip taps. Anyway, go ahead.
David Ariev will be sporting that shirt, I believe, coming up at his deal. When is that? That is
December 9th in Washington, D.C. Yeah. If you can, go to the Maxon C40 Roadshow in Washington, D.C. on December 9th. Come hang out with me and David. And I'm going to be there. I'm going just to hang out and see Washington, D.C. and hang out with David. And
you should do a podcast.
Be schmoozy, Matt. Yeah.
You should do a podcast.
Yeah, you know what? I think I will. I think maybe David and I will.
And then I won't have to do a show that Sunday.
You won't have to do a show that week.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be working a lot that weekend.
I'm sure you'll be sick again.
No. Man, I wasn't sick at all, coming up until this stupid thing happened to me.
Whatever.
Man, it sucks. We cover everything. Yes, we're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube and Brograph.com.
Cool.
That was
a good show.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Remember to send those emails in. Hey,
we're ending early. Let's play some Halo.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. I'll call up David. I'm sure he's up. He's always up late. Until next week, remember, you should hate all your old work, and if you don't, you're not doing it right. Until next week, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
Snap to a Slim Jim, motherfucker.
Oh my gosh.
You remember those commercials, right?
I do, yes, before he died.
When he said snap into a Slim Jim, motherfucker.
I don't remember him specifically saying mother. No.
It's not the way I remember it. It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. It's pretty good, I guess.